When the Terran Envoy ship Eidolon touched down on the marble-blue capital world of Althara, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. It was the first time in history that a human was invited into the royal citadel, the heart of a 1,000-year-old empire, ruled by a monarch species that once considered humans little more than curious primates. Captain Elias Ward, Earth's chosen diplomat, had read the briefing files 100 times. Do not stare too long. Do not smile too easily. Do not touch them. And above all, never compliment an Altharan woman. Apparently, such things were considered provocations in their culture. Still, as Elias stepped into the crystalline hall of the palace, he couldn't help but marvel. The Altharans were radiant, their skin faintly luminescent, their eyes multifaceted like living jewels. The air shimmered with song-like whispers, and towering sculptures seemed to float of their own accord. And in the center of it all, on a throne woven from threads of living light, sat Princess Saralyn, daughter of the High Empress. Her presence alone made the hall dim. She was tall, regal, and otherworldly. Her hair a cascade of liquid silver, her gaze both piercing and distant. Elias bowed deeply, trying to remember every rule. "Welcome, human of Earth," her voice rang, melodic yet cold. "Our empire has known countless stars, yet never one so unpredictable as your kind." Elias smiled politely. "It's an honor, your radiance. We come seeking peace and understanding." "Understanding," she repeated, tilting her head slightly. "A fragile word. And yet I wonder, do your kind truly understand what you see when you look at us?" There was a ripple of quiet laughter among her courtiers. Elias sensed a test, one of the many subtle games Altharans love to play. He straightened, meeting her gaze. "We see equals," he said softly. "Perhaps different, but equally worthy of respect." Her expression did not change, but the faintest glimmer in her eyes suggested curiosity. That was the beginning of everything that would follow: the politics, the betrayal, the war of words that nearly tore the alliance apart. It began with that quiet meeting between a human envoy and an alien princess who had never been told no in her entire life. Elias remained on Althara for weeks. Each day, he attended councils, learning the rhythms of a court that valued poise more than truth. The Altharans measured worth by beauty, symmetry of face, glow of skin, harmony of voice. To them, aesthetics were morality itself. Humans, by contrast, were strange. Short-lived, scarred, imperfect, yet creative beyond reason. The court artists mocked Earth's clumsy architecture and primitive fashions. Still, they couldn't look away from the human who walked with confidence among gods. Princess Saralyn, in particular, watched him. She invited him to her observatory one evening, the vast dome open to the stars. "You puzzle me, human," she said, pouring him a drink that shimmered like molten sapphire. "You walk through beauty and seem unaffected." Elias chuckled. "I notice it. But beauty alone doesn't move me. Not unless it means something." "Meaning?" She frowned. "Beauty is truth itself. To be beautiful is to be worthy." "That's not how we see it," Elias said. "We've learned that beauty fades, but kindness, courage, and sacrifice leave marks that don't." Her eyes narrowed. "You speak as if your kind has seen ugliness and called it holy." He met her gaze. "Maybe we have." For the first time, Saralyn seemed at a loss for words. She turned away, her silver hair catching starlight. "Perhaps that's why the council fears you. You look upon imperfection and dare to love it." The next morning, a scandal erupted. A young Altharan noble named Veklar, who despised humans, challenged Elias to a test of aesthetic truth. He displayed before the court 3 objects: a flawless Altharan crystal, a painting made by human hands, and a simple clay bowl from Earth, chipped and uneven. "Tell us, human," Veklar sneered. "Which of these is most beautiful?" The court watched silent. Elias looked at each in turn. The crystal was dazzling, perfect, cold. The painting was vivid but chaotic, a swirl of color and story. The clay bowl bore fingerprints, small cracks, a human touch that spoke of hunger and creation. He picked up the bowl. "This one." Laughter exploded around him. Even the courtiers could not restrain their amusement. "A broken dish," someone said. "Primitive sentiment," another cried. But Saralin's gaze was fixed on him, unreadable. "Explain," she said quietly. "It's not perfect," Elias said, holding it gently. "But it's real. Someone made this with their hands. Not for beauty, but for use, for need. Its flaws tell a story. That's the kind of beauty that lasts." The hall went silent. Then Saralyn rose. "Enough." Her tone was sharp, commanding. "The human has spoken his truth. You will respect it." The nobles fell silent. That night, rumors spread through the palace that the princess had defended a human, that she had found his words beautiful. Days later, she summoned him again. "Do you truly believe such things?" she asked, her voice softer this time. "That beauty can live in imperfection?" "Yes," he said. "In fact, that's the only kind that's real." She stepped closer, eyes shimmering like liquid crystal. "Then tell me, human, am I beautiful?" Elias froze. He could feel every eye in the chamber watching. The question was a trap, a cultural snare with no safe answer. If he said yes, he would be accused of flattery. If he said no, it was an insult to the royal bloodline. He drew a slow breath. "Do you want the truth?" Her chin lifted. "Always." "Then no," he said quietly. Gasps filled the chamber. Guards stepped forward. Saralyn's expression flickered. Rage, shock, confusion. But Elias continued. "You're not beautiful because of your face, or your glow, or your crown. Those things don't belong to you. They belong to your genetics, your empire, your title. Beauty is what you choose to be. How you treat those beneath you, how you face pain, how you forgive. And that kind of beauty." He paused, meeting her eyes. "That kind of beauty is still waiting to wake up inside you." For several heartbeats, no one moved. Then Saralyn dismissed the guards with a gesture. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke. "You risk your life for words, human. Do you not fear me?" He smiled. "Not fear. Respect." And then he turned and left. Ending. Days passed. Elias was forbidden from the royal court. Rumors swirled that he would be sent back to Earth in disgrace. Yet, in the shadows of the palace gardens, something unexpected happened. Saralyn began to change. She dismissed her cosmetic attendants. She stopped wearing the luminescent regalia. She visited the infirmaries, speaking with the wounded veterans her empire rarely acknowledged. She spent hours among the artists, not the court-approved kind, but the street painters, the sculptors who worked in dust and clay. And then one night, she went to Elias's quarters. Alone. "You said beauty is what we choose to be," she said softly. "Show me how to see as humans do." He smiled faintly. "It's not something I can show. It's something you have to feel." So he took her to the city beneath the palace, the lower domes where the poor lived. For the first time, the princess of Althara walked among those her world ignored. She saw children playing in the light of broken crystals. She saw workers with scars, mothers laughing despite hunger, lovers sharing warmth in the cold metallic streets. Saralyn wept. "They are radiant," she whispered. "And yet, No one in the court sees them. Now you understand, Elias said. This is beauty. Months later, the galaxy would speak of that day in awe. Before millions, in the grand convocation hall, Princess Cerulean stood beside the human envoy. Her hair unadorned, her garments simple, her face bare of the shimmering mask that once defined her station. "My people," she declared, her voice echoing across 1,000 worlds. "We have mistaken light for worth, and perfection for truth. But beauty, true beauty, is courage, compassion, and imperfection embraced. And I learned this from a human." The hall erupted. Some called it heresy. Others called it revolution. But across the stars, from the glittering spires of Althara to the dusty streets of Earth's colonies, millions watched the broadcast, and saw the most radiant being in the galaxy admit that she had been wrong. Afterward, Elias found her in the observatory once again, watching the stars. "You changed the galaxy," he said softly. "No," she replied. "We did. You gave me the words. I merely spoke them." There was silence. Then she turned to him, smiling gently. "Tell me again," she said, her tone light, teasing. "Am I beautiful now?" Elias hesitated, then took her hand. "Yes," he said. "Because this time it's you who chose it." And for the first time in recorded Altharan history, a princess laughed. Not the cold, practiced laugh of royalty, but the unguarded joy of someone who finally understood what it meant to be human. The moment was captured by hundreds of lenses, broadcast across empires. And the galaxy, so long obsessed with perfection, began to see beauty through human eyes. Prologue. Years later, statues of Princess Cerulean and Captain Elias Ward stood side by side in the Galactic Museum of Harmony. The inscription below read, "She asked if she was beautiful. He answered not with flattery, but with truth. And that truth reshaped the stars. Because sometimes it only takes one human, one honest heart, to awaken an entire civilization to what beauty truly means."